know who this is for, but I hope you listen. And I understand that someone in the church have hurt you, or someone in the faith of Christianity have hurt you. Listen, they done hurt me too. And it's real out here. There are real people in the church supposed to represent God. Real people in the Christian faith supposed to represent God that would hurt you, that will deliberately betray you, that will genuinely manipulate you and try to control you and cause you harm. And I'm sorry that's your experience, but that person does not represent God. And I don't want you to give up on God because of that interaction. I am so sorry that someone who's supposed to represent God, someone who's supposed to have Christ-like behavior, betrayed you, hurt you, and sought out to use you and abuse you. I am sorry. It really does happen in the church, and it really does happen in the Christian faith. But I am sorry that that was your experience. And not to invalidate you, but that has happened to me as well. But one thing that I learned was to get to know God for myself and not because of people. I had to go and read the Bible and learn about the attributes of God and ask Him to show me who He is. And I'm so grateful that I did, because if I never got to know God by myself, I was going to miss out on a God that is merciful, that is loving, that is also a God of war when He needs to be. Even to go after those very same people saying that they represent Christ, that have hurt me or have hurt you. Because God said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. So leave them to God, forgive them, but don't give up on God. Don't give up on Jesus Christ because of these people. They are sent by the enemy to distract you from a true, loving, protective relationship with God. I was about to say Christ. Same. So please get to know God for yourself. You are not crazy. You didn't make this up. There are real demonic, evil, wicked people in church who saying they represent Jesus Christ, who are deliberately hurting people. But I want you to know that that is not God. That is not of God. That is not the fruit of the Spirit. And now that we understand that, let's start recognizing people based on the fruits of the Spirit and not by them professing with their mouths that they represent Jesus Christ. Because even Jesus Christ said they may praise me with their mouth, but their hearts are far from me. Once I understood that the heart of man is wicked, I started paying attention to what God is showing me about somebody in order for me to know and discern who's for me and who's not for me, even if it's in church. Because we let our guards down when we're in church, because that is the place where we become vulnerable. But I've learned that any place that we are supposed to be vulnerable is the very place that the enemy will seek to hurt us in. So now I become more discerning when I'm going into a place where vulnerability is where is happening. So any place, that could be a counseling session, that could be church, that could be a family relationship, a relationship. I learned to ask God to give me the discernment to know when to let my guards down And I ask God to guard my heart, because the Bible said, guard your heart, for out of it springs the issue of life. So what happens is the enemy uses people to hurt us in the very faith that we are supposed to be protected in the very relationships that are supposed to be safe, just so that he can harden our hearts, and that we become cold and we become hard to penetrate through. And now God can't even get his love through us and to us, for people and for ourselves. And that's what the enemy wants. He wants to harden our hearts so that we don't love again, that we're not like exploding with the love of God, so that people can see our light and that we can represent him, and to bring, you know, people closer to the true love of God. And the hurt comes from people that are in the faith sometimes, people that we are familiar with sometimes. But please don't give up on God because of other people. Please get to know God for yourself. Please read your word. Please allow the Holy Spirit to lead you and guide you in all truth, as his word says. And get to know God for yourself. Let him give you godly wisdom. Let him give you godly discernment. Let him give you godly knowledge, godly revelation, so that you will know who to get close to, and how to guard your heart, and how to be around people, so that you're not wounded every time in your experiences, and that stops you from living out the will of God for your life. Because every 5 minutes you have to get healed. You have to go and be repaired again, because you're not moving with godly wisdom and what to do when it comes with people. But don't give up on God. There's some wicked people out here. It's real. We live in a cruel, cruel world, but we can also be very discerning, and we can live with wisdom, love, excitement, everything that God says we can have, and have that life more abundantly, even in relationships. We just have to make sure that it's God leading us, and it's not people, and it's not our insecurities, it is not our own human intelligence, it is not our own desires leading us in places and spaces with people who are going to prey on us, but people who will pray with us. So God bless. Don't give up on God. Please don't give up on God. I promise you, I ain't like church people for nothing. I ain't like no church people. I didn't like the church because I didn't appreciate some of these people being fake with God. And I remember telling God, if I'm going to come to you, I'm going to do it for real. So that's why I take my relationship with God for real. I'm not going to fake the funk for nothing. Because at the end of the day, I know what it's like to be deceived by people saying that they represent God. And I know what it's like to be hurt by people saying that they represent God and they don't. But through that situation, through the hurt, God taught me how to deal with people and how to have wisdom and discernment in identifying the right people who are saying they are for him for real. Because we live in this world where if people are saying they for us for real and they not, they also doing the same thing to God. So may we be encouraged to understand that God will lead us and guide us in all things.